Okay, welcome to the next session, which is how to use your Prism Career Match reports to complete module number 12, which is the strengths assignment, which is basically about learning from your Career Match report what are your key behavioural strengths. You'll see I've opened the report in PDF mode, and there's actually 21 pages in your report, and you may have already had the chance to sort of scan read it, but what I want to do today is just focus on pages 5 and 6, which relate to this particular module, which is how to be able to use the report to identify your key strengths. So let's go straight down to page number 5, and here we can see the graphical representation of your Prism brain map. A little bit of explanation about that is that firstly you'll notice it's broken down into 4 quadrants, the gold, green, blue and red quadrants, and around the circumference of the circle you have 8 words. Now each of these key words represent what we call specific performance dimensions that correspond to that particular quadrant of neural activity or brain activity. And these are the kind of areas that actually drive your behavioral responses. The way you actually measure the map is to use it pretty much as a sort of scoring sheet where the center of the circle is 0 and the outside or the circumference of the circle is 100, and whatever score you have in each of those 8 corresponding areas is subsequently plotted on the map with this red line here. Now, I just want to point out that there is no such thing as a good or a bad score in what you're looking at here. Everybody will have a unique and slightly different map which will show very different behavior preferences, and that's very important because that's what distinguishes us from each other and helps us be more suitable to certain roles and less suitable to others. So it is important that we recognize as we're looking at this, we are looking at the way in which our observed behaviors and our behavioral preferences correspond to each other. So each of these 8 dimensions will kind of show slightly different areas of strength and weakness. The lower the number, the more you prefer to avoid that type of behavior. The higher the number, the more natural and the more inclined you are to like to get involved in those kind of behaviors. If you want to look at understanding a bit more about each behavior, then on page number 6 you will see the definitions that correspond to the 8 dimensions. So there are the 2 green dimensions, innovating and initiating, supporting, coordinating, the blue dimensions, focusing, delivering, the red dimensions, finishing and evaluating, the gold dimensions. The text that you see here is not a unique text to you. It is the characterized text that defines an individual's behaviors who has expressed a preference in that particular area. So if, for example, as is the case with this particular map, the highest numbers here are supporting, initiating and innovating, which we can see from the graphical representation, but if you want to also look at that in terms of numerical, you can see the scores that are plotted on this map are here in this column. The 2 green scores, 95, 95, supporting 95, coordinating, focusing, delivering, finishing, evaluating. These are my scores. So I can immediately see that my top 3 scores are innovating, initiating and supporting, which I can then see on the kind of chart here. They are the points that are closest to the outer edge of the circle. If I then look at what that means in terms of helping to understand my key strengths, coincidentally on this particular page the first 3, innovating, initiating and supporting, are the key strengths that I have in my report. They're all at 95. So what I'm looking at here now is the description of the behaviours that are associated with those strengths. So what I can look at here is if I know that my natural strength is in innovating, then most of these statements, some or all of them, would apply to me. So if we look at these statements here, imaginative and innovative thinker, generates ideas and concepts, visualizes outcomes, creates original solutions, unorthodox and fertile-minded and radical. Well, that is, to all intents and purposes, a good description of my naturally expressed behavior in that key dimension of performance. What that means is, if that plus this are my three strongest areas, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to read carefully these three statements of the kind of behaviors that are typically associated with these preferences. And I'm then going to translate that into a simple analysis about, well, what are the types of jobs or careers that require these type of behaviors? And of course, using that information, I can then start to think about types of roles or types of careers that use these types of behaviors more often than not. And that's simply the way that we use this Strengths Finder at this level, just to be able to understand our key strengths. Any questions, of course, you know that all you need to do is go into the coach conversation box back in your journey. But in the meantime, good luck with this particular task, and I look forward to seeing your results in terms of your own analysis very shortly. Thank you.